The Colts just hired Jeff Saturday as the head coach.
But when you look at this hire, does it equate to everything that when we go into the offseason and see and we talk about, hey, what are the credentials? Why certain black coaches or blacks not afforded these same opportunities?
Yeah.
Behind the mask.
What up, my boy?
What's good, family? Another day in paradise. You know what it is.
Already, man.
Yes, sir.
I can appreciate being on this side of the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And in the BTM lounge one more time.
Mm-hmm. Once again, it's on.
You actually started with me on this one. On this conversation we're about to have, you walked up in here and you read off some numbers to me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't keeping up on the news at the time.
Listen, man. Check this out. Just some good old boys. Never meaning no harm. I'm going to read this resume off to you, bro. Tell me what you think. Super Bowl champ, 4-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, and a Ring of Honor. What does that sound like to you?
A Hall of Famer or Hall of Fame nominee.
Yeah, some serious stats like they did their thing on the field, right?
Yeah, no doubt. That resume proves it.
Doesn't sound like an NFL head coach to you?
Nah, it don't.
Why not? That's some good football stats. Why not? Why wouldn't it be a head coach?
Well, because of the experience.
Oh,
like,
wait a minute. I forgot. High school Christian Academy head coach for 4 years. That's not enough for an NFL head coach?
You got it.
Yo, just some good old boys. Nah, man, that's the Colts just hired Jeff Saturday as the head coach. That's his experience. Heck of a resume, don't get me wrong. Love Jeff Saturday, offensive lineman, you know what I'm saying? Much love. But that's his resume. No head coaching experience, bro.
And just to be completely transparent, like when you told me that, before I even looked at I barely dive into it. And I was like, no, that can't be right. But it is.
Yeah.
And this is the discrepancy that I have with it is, look, I want to say this. I'm going to start with this and I'll end with this too. Mm-hmm. I salute Jeff Saturday.
Absolutely.
For being able to get the job.
Yeah.
Like Jeff is a personal friend of mine. And I want that to be known.
Yeah.
Like we've done work with each other, hard work with each other from the union side, the betterment of everybody. So, and I've spent quality time with him. But when you look at this hire, does it equate to everything that when we go into the offseason and see and we talk about, hey, what are the credentials? Okay, did this guy come up through the ranks? Has he ever played? Which I always thought that is a huge bonus.
Yeah.
What time has he spent in to understand the structure and the knowledge of how things goes? Understanding the command of the process. Yeah. You just said that he really didn't. And so now I'm thinking like, the problem I see is like, okay, I see he was a consultant. And that's blatantly known. But it's like, damn. Irsay, you just went out and hired your, like, you know what? I really enjoy having a cup of coffee with Jeff Saturday, and I know he has leadership capabilities. And let me also bring in mind, too, he was one of the guys that helped me win my only title as the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. So I know he got leadership skills, but I'm trying to figure out, like, when we look at the credentials, when we look at the checklist, and we try to see why certain black coaches or blacks not afforded these same opportunities.
Yeah.
And when we look at it and we check it, clearly, my checklist is different than Irsay's checklist.
Yeah. And you got to think how many players, former players, how many black coaches on the coaching staff, minority coaches on the coaching staff, could have been inserted as an intern head coach, right? Yeah. As the coach sitting now there below 500 on the season. Could they make the playoffs? Technically, maybe. That division isn't very strong. Tennessee is coming on. But when you look at what you want in the middle of a season, making a change like this, you want a spark. You want something different. However, you would think to validate that, it would come off of someone with experience, with a winning experience as a coach. Spikes, don't get me wrong, man. This is not a shot at Jeff Saturday. Again, the fellas that have went through the grind with us, that have the stress time, the heat, the putting the bodies and the minds on the line for so long, we want to see them excel and get in positions in the NFL to where they can be decision makers, right? Mm-hmm. Not just looked at as athletes on the field, be executives. I'm all for that. I just think when the league is talking about hiring the best available coach, hiring the most experienced coach, the person that can help make a change on a team, it didn't seem like that happened to me. Like you fired your coach, Frank Reich, and then next day you hired Jeff Saturday. It seemed like a snap emotional decision. There's no way you could have went through the hiring process that quick.
Yeah, it was an emotional. I felt like I think it was more than an emotional decision. As you stated, Frank Reich, head coach for the Colts, he was fired by Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, underperforming. And the next day you go out and hire Jeff Saturday. Now, mind you, Jeff wasn't even coaching.
All right.
Jeff was a colleague at ESPN. And which, listen, I am totally okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't making, the point is not so much about Jeff, it's more so about the process that I have a problem with. You know, and then you get up and you hear what Irsay, some of just even the quotes that he had said to justify his hire. You know, one that really sticks out to me was, we were fortunate that he was available.
You think?
Well, I didn't even, I know he's high in demand because I love hearing him speak. Like, he's always been that guy who would take a leadership role and speak for the body of people. Very articulate in the way and how he does things. But damn, I ain't know you were fortunate enough to get him. I didn't know he was in high demand as a coach, the head coach.
Right.
Number two, I think another thing to point out is not only was he was working with ESPN, but he was hired by the Colts as a consultant. So there's some familiarity, as you stated. He played for them, helped bring the only ring up under Jim Irsay's time. It was surprising, not only to you look at so many other guys, even guys who he played with, Peyton Manning. He came out and said, like, wow, I didn't know it's going to be an uphill battle. And that's real. Yeah. Just because it ain't so much you worried about one position, but it's everything entitled to that. And when you don't see somebody who is not in the building every day to go through the ebbs and flows, the emotional highs and lows, you wonder, like, I don't wonder, can he adjust? You wonder, how is he going to adjust with the group of the body of people? And then, you know, the biggest one that really jumped out to me, bro, was when he was like Jeff will be fine. You know, the reason why I like him, he doesn't have the fear or when it comes to coaching, because he alluded to coaches now have to always resort back to, what do the analytics say? Like you on the blackjack table. I'm guilty of this. What the book say? He throw that, what the book say? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, for, you know, as an owner, I hear that, and you say he doesn't have that fear. Is it an indictment on Chris Ballard, the GM, for putting your team in this mess? But when you bring Chris Ballard on, Chris Ballard even comes out and say, hey, we tried to hire him in the past because we loved his leadership. As the head coach?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. So I guess I lay all of that out to say it's several things to unpack here. But number one is I say that to really say you really just don't trust the guys that you hired. So now it's okay just to come out and say, you know what? This is my boy.
Yeah.
This is my dude who I believe in. He played with the only team, and he was a captain on that team to bring me a championship. And I know his leadership capabilities. I know he has the power of influence. And I know he understands the skill set of being an organizational guy.
Yeah.
Like, just say that. But for you to list all of this other stuff out to me, that's what makes it hard for me to believe. And more than that, it makes it hard for everybody to accept.
Yeah, it does. And I think the main people that will accept it are the people that are in Indy because he's a hometown hero, if you will. But there's another hometown hero on that roster. You know what I'm saying? Reggie Wayne.
Yep.
Receivers coach. So, and he's already in the system, right? Granted, he got
Super Bowl champ.
Another Super Bowl champ.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame one day.
Another captain. Another Hall of Famer, Ring of Honor, everything that you just named. So it's like, how do you justify someone with no...
Cato June is another guy.
Cato June.
12 years of experience coaching. He was on the championship team.
Bro.
Kevin Mawai, your fellow offensive
line. Yeah. And he was the NFLPA president. Yeah. I think, so how do you... For me, I'm not in a billionaire's mind, so I don't know what a billionaire is thinking. But how do you justify that this hire when you have that type of experience, NFL coaching experience already on your staff? Now, I know you got high school head coaching experience. Shout out to Al Bundy. That's dope. But how do you justify that when you have the coaching experience already on your staff? For me, I just don't see it, man. And we talk about the diversity. We talk about, again, the hiring the best available candidate. How can you justify that as the best available hire?
How can you justify it?
Do they even need to justify it?
Do you even need to justify it? Let me just ask you this, though, because you always seems to have, pretty good answers. Would you do that? What Jim Irsay did, knowing that you have everybody on your staff that's proven and accomplished and pretty much have the same credentials as Jeff Saturday.
And then, like, say if you were in Jeff Saturday's position, but I had some other cats on it, would I hire my guy Takeo Spikes? Hell yeah, I hired Takeo Spikes as my head coach. Hell yeah. I think it is damn, I guess I'm contradicting myself here, but I can see it, right? And we always say it's not what you know, is who you know. So it seems like it's not so much about the experience, it's about the relationships. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's, but the thing is, just say that. Don't say all the other fluff in between it about you were attempting to hire him. He was a consultant already, I get it. But as a head coach, were you attempting to really hire Jeff Saturday as a head coach? I don't know that. You know what I mean? And then didn't Fletch say something crazy too?
You know what? And to that point, bro, like, let's. This is what I want. Let me get to this, because you even look at. So this just hit. Fletch comes out and says, London Fletcher, aka the Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Hey, since people are in the mood for hiring, this is me talking like this. I like to build it up. Fletch says, here's my resume to all NFL teams looking for a head coach this offseason. 16-year NFL vet, 256 consecutive games played, none missed, All-Pro Hall of Fame nominee, Commanders Ring of Fame, one of the best that ever did it, that came through the Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins. I just want to catch everybody up. Now, going back to the quote, Commanders radio color analyst. He's in the media. Also worked with CBS. Volunteer middle school defensive coordinator at Charlotte Latin School. Iron Man, thank you for your resume. I might need to check your record as a defensive coordinator.
Oh my God, man. So can London Fletcher have that resume and automatically walk in it's not going to be Snyder for much longer up there in at Washington, but walk in and get the head coaching job.
He should be able to.
He should, if all things are being considered equal, right?
Yeah, he should. But clearly, the problem is we as blacks don't get those opportunities. Yeah. And that's what I want to bring awareness to. Like I said, and I'll repeat it again, this is nothing against Jeff. I love Jeff as a personal friend. Got a lot of respect for him. But I'm just stating the elephant in the room, which it ain't no more. Like, clearly, we have the same credentials. Blacks have the same credentials as Jeff Saturday. But we don't get these same opportunities afforded to us. Yeah. Now, I even give you some names. And it's a big disparity. Going back, looking at Eric Bieniemy. He followed Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy went on to get a head coaching job with the Bears. Yeah. That wasn't successful, and he's still sitting in the same position. You even look at Leslie Frazier, defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Still sitting in a waiting position. Even look at the next hottest coordinator, Byron Leftwich. Yeah. You know what I mean? So clearly what I'm stating, bro, is like it's always an excuse. I look at what's going on down on the plains at Auburn. Coach Harsin was fired. Cadillac Williams, all-time great, he comes in as the interim head coach. And you know when people start to talk about who is going to be the next head coach and you hear names that float around, when it comes to blacks, and this ain't biased, it's calling it what it is, it's always, okay, what are your credentials? Then the next thing is, well, we're going to question the leadership abilities. Well, you didn't question that when I led you to the playoffs. Yeah. Well, we're going to question, well, won't say it, but the intelligence factor. That plays a big part into it. And then also, the number one thing that really plays a huge factor into it is the experience. Yeah. And when we look at Jeff Saturday's situation, here's again another guy who's coming in, don't have the typical experience that you probably would want to see. And I get it. He's played 1 million games, couple of high 100 games. I think of myself, I played in over 200 games, one of only 5 linebackers ever in the history of the NFL to start in over 200 games.
Did you ever get an offer straight off the street to say, hey, come be the head coach of my football team that you play for?
I never got an offer to be the head coach of an NFL team. I got an offer to come in and say, hey, we want you to work your way up. What does that mean? Right. Well, you gotta come in and do what the scouts do. I ain't got no problem against the scouts. But man, let me tell you something. When I was 36 years old, I decided to retire from the game. 15 years in the game, all pro, Pro Bowls, all of that. So you mean to tell me you want me to go take a role and do things all the way at the bottom of the totem pole after I spent 29 years out of 36 years of living, of giving what I got to the game? Man, I got a real problem with that. Yeah. A huge problem with it.
You got college kids coming out of school doing those type of tasks. And that's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful at the utmost because here we go again, the disparity. You want to discount everything that I've done, even to help win games, also to help you keep your job as a GM or to make you to enhance your bottom line as an owner. But you don't want to look at me in the same light when it comes to offering me the possibility of leading your team as a head coach. Yeah. And for me, that's where the buck stopped. Yeah. Because I go back to this and finish that point. When you look at all of these guys, even Deion Sanders along with Cadillac Williams, one of the things they always want to ask the question, which I find very disrespectful. Is it valid to say it? yes, it is valid to ask the question. But if you don't bring up some of the other hires that has happened, Joe Judge, who came from the New England Patriots, he got into the league roughly around 2012, was an assistant, and then worked his way up to a special teams coordinator. Then he gets the head job at the New York Giants?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, you look at John Lynch. And then, no, listen, it is what it is. You look at Lynch. Lynch was working at Fox.
Yeah.
Love Lynch. He's part of the brotherhood. Then he gets the GM job. So my point is, I have no malice towards those guys at all, including Jeff. But if they can do it, my question is, why can't we do it? Why do you have to question the intellect? Why do you have to question our organizational skills? Why do you have to question, the ego might be too big? That's what you want. You want somebody. I've never seen a leader walk into a room and his ego isn't big. I like a leader walking into the room and you telling me exactly what's expected of me. Here are the rules that we're going to abide by, and here's the bottom line: command of the messaging. This is the expectations. Yeah. And if you bring somebody in front of me who don't have that, it's worthless. Yeah. So I just want to point out the disparities, bro. That's it.
Yeah. And they got to keep it thorough because you have your Jerry Rices, your Ray Lewises, your Barry Sanders, guys that are yourself, Takeo, guys that are good enough or were good enough to lead your team on the field, be team captains, have the resume to be an executive or a coach. The brothers that did it. And you rarely see that happen in the NFL, to your point. And I think that is the system. I even look at the broadcast booth, even with that, man. You know, we're told when we come out to go to broadcast boot camp, we're told to come to, hone our skills.
Yeah.
Right? But you see guys that literally play ball, the bigger name guys, your Tony Romos, Jason Witten when he came out. Even Tom Brady now has a job waiting for him as soon as he retires. It's rare that we have the opportunity to transition right away into a position of power, a position of leadership in the NFL.
The big positions.
And even in the broadcasting, go straight into the booth. Like I had to work my way up. You know what I'm saying? You had to work your way up. And and again, that just goes to what the system is. And I think that's the thing that needs to be changed. But what I will say, and I cannot lie, no lies in the lounge.
No lies in the lounge.
No lies in the lounge.
Mr. Reyes.
Like I said before, if I have an opportunity and I'm in a position of power, a decision-making position, and I know, one, we've played for years together. Los has played with us for years together. We went through our MBAs together, so I know that you have experience in, the business side of things. I know you're capable of being an owner because you've owned businesses. Los has owned businesses. I damn sure would hire or work with you guys on a leadership level. So I think that's the difference where I look at it like, I don't agree with it because I don't see it happening with us, but I agree with it because I would do the same damn thing. I would hire one of my guys and be like, yo, let's run this. We've done it. So no lies in the lounge. You created Behind the Mask, the book, Linebacker Edition. Collectively, we said, hey, we're going to create Behind the Mask Media.
Yep.
We business partners. Same thing with Los. He was doing his things, with his former businesses. Hey, too, we went through the MBA class. I have a position right here that I need. All right, hey, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
So I see that in that aspect, but we have experience. That's the difference.
I'm glad you said that.
We have experience. He's up to roast me.
It was on me Thanksgiving on your goddamn ass. I was on carve you up.
Nah, no lies in the lounge. That's the difference, is the experience is there. But so for the surface level, absolutely I would hire a friend or somebody that I know I went to war with.
And I know trust.
And I can trust. But again, the experience has to be there from what that position is.
Right. Because if the experience isn't there, then you pretty much saying, yeah, this is a homeboy hookup.
Yeah. Just some good old boy. I don't know if that's y'all remember that Dukes of Hazzard, but anyway, go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, and familiarity.
Yeah, that's the better way of putting it.
And what you don't, you don't want to know anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, you're comfortable with who you're comfortable with.
No new friends.
No new friends.
Like us, man.
No
Ain't nobody else coming in the usual suspects.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think the big thing is, I'll end with this, like I started. I wish Jeff all the success, and this is nothing personal, because we both did the same thing he did. We both accomplished a lot. And it's always a proud accomplishment to see a former brethren take on this new task in life and be able to be successful. Because ultimately the ones who sit back and watch him, like, we hope he wins, because then that gives other opportunities.
Facts.
But to your point, when it's a disparity there, I got to bring attention to it.
Yeah.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because that ain't right, bro.
Absolutely.
It ain't right. It's not right when you bring up other names, people of color, black people, who comes up in the ranks of coaching and has everything on the checklist checked off. But now we don't take this goalpost. Instead of it being 40 yards, we don't bring it back and make it 60.
Yeah.
Call it like it is.
Yeah.
I would rather much hear you just say, man, I hired Jeff just because the familiarity and me knowing from our time that we worked with each other, he's going to bring the same things that I think he brought as a player: leadership, organizational skills, the ability to rally and influence people. He's going to bring the same thing as a head coach. And I leave it alone.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it alone anyway.
Got to.
But I just had to call it out.
Oh, yeah, man. And you know what? I don't know anybody that has been able to make a billionaire do something they didn't want to do. So when it comes down to it, Jim Irsay is going to hire who Jim Irsay wants to hire to be the head football coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That's the bottom line. It ain't what you know, it's who you know. You know what I'm saying? Who you know will get you in the room. What you know will keep you in the room.
Facts.
And I just hope, we wish the best for Jeff. You know what I'm saying? But just call it like it is. That's all.
Yeah.
We'll be cool with that.
Say less.
No lies in the lounge.
No lies in the lounge.
Behind the mask.